Hi everybody. I'm just going to give everybody a little bit of a chance to find us here. There'll be folks joining in throughout the hour. We're really excited about starting up our Cooking Together Live again on Wednesdays at noon. We're going to do this every Wednesday indefinitely. And throughout the week, I always come up with some kind of inspiration food-wise that I want to share with you. And so I've been keeping a running list of those things. And this week, I really wanted to show you something to do with carrot tops, these beautiful green tops of carrots that unfortunately often go in the trash or the compost bin. Or if you're lucky and have chickens or horses, you might be feeding the carrot tops to them, which is great. But I wanted to show you something that you could do with carrot tops at home that's a really delicious, nutritious condiment to put on rice or fried rice or anything any meal you're having that includes rice. You can put it on the side and kind of flavor your rice with it. And so we're going to be doing that quick little demo. It's going to take about 5 minutes at the beginning of the show today. And then we have two special guests with us today. The first one is Leanne Valenti from Bento Picnic. She's going to tell us about the fundraiser she's doing for her furloughed staff. We have to turn off our notifications. And so we're going to start with that one, and then we're going to move to Atlanta, Georgia, and talk with my good friend Pean, who is doing wonderful work there with her chef business and starting to do videos as well. And she's going to do a demo of jackfruit tacos and talk all about healthy eating, going back to our roots, and incorporating whole foods into our diet to keep our immune system strong. And she's got a whole bunch of things we have a whole bunch of things we want to talk about. So I guess we'll get started with the cooking demo part. Feel free to let us know that you're here in the comments. Nelson's behind the camera, and he's going to be letting me know what you're saying. I'm gonna just cover the bottom with the pan with some untoasted sesame oil. You can use extra virgin olive oil if you don't have sesame oil. And I just put in finely chopped carrot greens. I use the stems and the leaves. And I'm just going to saute these until they're kind of little bit more cooked. You want to say hi, Izzy? Come here. Izzy just got done with her math class on Zoom, right? Do you have anything to report? No. Not yet. Do you want to stir this while I put the miso in? So this is so simple. Another thing that you could do is instead of using carrot tops, if you have scallions or spring onions, you can chop up the entire thing or just use the green part. That's all you have left. And literally you can put it in the roots if they're nice and fresh. Just make sure they're washed. The white part, the green part. And just slice them thinly and put them in the oil and saute them just like I'm doing the carrot tops. I'm going to type this recipe up, put it on my blog, and I'll also give the variation for scallion. There's an old macrobiotic recipe called scallion oily miso or scallion miso condiment, and this is kind of a take on that recipe. I'm going to put in some dark miso paste. This is a red miso from this brand called Miso Master. And this is a different variety. I had this in a glass jar, so I don't have the package anymore. but it is a red miso. You could also use a barley miso that's dark. And we're going to put this in. I usually just kind of spread it on the top, but we can kind of mix it in. That's okay. And mix it in. We are live. So this literally has 3 ingredients. Sesame oil. I use the untoasted so it doesn't overpower the flavor. It's not as strong. And you can use olive oil if you don't have sesame oil. And then carrot tops or scallions. And then miso. And so what we're going to do here, could you get me a lid, Izzy? And do you remember that flame tamer thing on the bottom?
The smaller, more metal.
On the very left. I'm going to put this on, it's very, very low while we talk to Leanne and Cynthia. So I'm going to use this flame tamer, but if you don't have one of these, just turn it on very low for about 5 minutes. Cover it. And then it'll be just about done. And this is very high in minerals, very high in vitamins, and with the oil and the nutrients and salt from the miso, it just is a very deeply nourishing condiment that you can use on the side of your meal. You probably only need a half of a teaspoon or a teaspoon of this, even though you're going to want to eat like a half a cup. But it is concentrated in minerals and salt, so you don't need that much at a time. And just keep it in your fridge. It'll last for like a month in your fridge. But make sure you try it when it's fresh, because that's the most delicious that you'll be able to taste. Okay, so I'll show you this at the very end, what it looks like. So we'll come back to that in a little while. So has anybody showed up on the chat yet?
Julie joined.
Oh, hi, Julie.
There's 334 on the chat.
Okay, well, there's a lot of people here, but if you don't comment, we won't know you're here. But
So please comment.
comment if you can. So next, we are going to tell you what's going on at Bento Picnic. We have a very short video from Leanne that we want to show you. Leanne Valenti was my student at the Natural Liquorian, and we've been friends for many, many years. She's an amazing natural food chef and spent some time, maybe 6 months or so in Japan, learning all about traditional Japanese cooking. And she has used that knowledge in creating her Japanese restaurant called Bento Picnic in Austin. And her staff has been furloughed for at least a couple of weeks to quarantine and make sure everybody's healthy. And then they're hoping to come back fairly soon with a new menu that's just going to be takeout family meals. And so I hope everyone will support that when it opens back up. And she's got a fundraiser going on that I want to show you right now. And it's going on for one more day. So I hope that you can participate in it.
Hi y'all, Leanne here from Bento Picnic. I wanted to give you an update on our t-shirt campaign. We're over 75% of the way to reaching our goal of selling 200 t-shirts, which is incredible because 100% of the proceeds go to support our furloughed staff, and everyone who contributes gets one of our custom designed Lucky Kitty t-shirts, which means that before too long, I'll get to see hundreds of people parading around wearing their Lucky Kitty t-shirts, and I'll be able to give you all big hugs to thank you for your support during this time. And of course, we have until Thursday at midnight, April the 9th, to reach our goal of selling 200 t-shirts. So if you haven't gotten a chance to contribute yet, please follow the link and pick up your t-shirt today. Thank you so much.
Almost done.
Okay, thank you so much for being on the show today, Leanne. And we've got a link up to Bento Picnic where you can get the t-shirts, and I'll make sure that I put another link in the comments after the show. So if anybody wants to get a Lucky Kitty t-shirt to support her cause, they can get one. Ours is coming. She said that as soon as the fundraiser is over tomorrow night, everybody's t-shirt's going to be drop shipped on the same day. So we should be getting them next week. So next up is going to be our lunchtime topic. We're going to be making Cynthia Pean, CC Pean, is going to make us lunch today. And she's making some jackfruit tacos. And we're going to be talking about healthy cooking, whole foods cooking, and more. So I'd love to introduce you to my friend and chef colleague, CC Pean. She lives in Atlanta, and she's soon to be moving to Florida. And she does all kinds of wonderful personal chef, dinner parties, catering type work with her business called Afcavé, and I want her to tell you all about that, the origin of it, and I'm going to hand things over to you. You're in the spotlight, Cynthia.
Thank you. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you for having me. Good seeing you. So yes, my name is CC Pean, or some of you know me as Cynthia Chia Pean. I am a plant-based chef. I actually was fortunate to learn under the tutelage of Rachel at the Natural Epicurean. That's where I got my plant-based culinary training from. And Afcavé is an acronym for Afro-Carib Vegan. I am a first-generation American of West African and West Indian descent. And I'm passionate about my culture and the foods from my culture. And so I created a business that incorporates the flavors, traditions, and cooking styles of the African diaspora, but I wanted to make sure that I did it from a healthy perspective. And so that's what I was able to learn at the Natural Epicurean, is how to incorporate my cooking style and the flavors and traditions in a healthful presentation. And it's very important. We were speaking earlier off camera that this is really important at this time, especially because African Americans are affected disproportionately by health disparity, be it access to health care, or it be, that we have higher rates of hypertension and diabetes and things like that as a result of our diet. So the best way to counteract that is to just eat healthy. And it is possible to eat food that is absolutely delicious that just so happens to be good for you. So today I am preparing a jackfruit taco. And the reason I love jackfruit is because it is incredibly healthy. It's nutrient dense. You can eat it when it's young. You can eat it when it's old. You can roast the nuts and eat the nuts. The nuts almost have a Brazil nut type of flavor to it. And so jackfruit, when it cooks down, it's almost like a pulled pork or a pulled chicken or something like that, or chopped chicken. The reason I fix my jackfruit this way, as opposed to a lot of times I will see recipes that are like for a barbecue jackfruit, which I'm sure tastes delicious, but barbecue sauce, traditional barbecue sauce at least, is full of corn syrup, full of sugar, it's full of salt. So we're taking this great product, we're taking this great, plant-based, earth, whole product, and then we're like slamming it with all those preservatives, and we want to avoid that. So the star of today's dish is jackfruit, and what I'm going to make, this is one of my favorite flavor combinations. It's a 5-spice, the Asian 5-spice, coconut milk, and maple. So it's like this savory, sweet, sticky, just altogether lovely flavor. And it is, I believe that it is indicative of the African diaspora because, for example, in my mother's country, you have Portuguese, you have Chinese. So all of those cultures come together and create cuisine. So that's what I've done with this dish. So getting back to what we're talking about, this is the jackfruit that you need to use when you are making savory jackfruit dishes. It's young jackfruit. You have to use young jackfruit. It's going to be in brine. If you use ripe jackfruit, it's super sweet and you'll have a mess on your hands. The sweet, ripe jackfruit is more appropriate for like smoothies and things like that. And if you're familiar with durian, it kind of has that durian quality and flavor to it. So this is it in the can, and then this is what it looks like when it's out of the can. They're like little spears. If you can see that. And it's got some heft to it, like I can press it and it stays together. And you see there's some of that, some of the water's coming out even though I drained it. So what we do is, if you can see here, I have begun to chop it up. I do it this way, and then there's times that I will also put it in the food processor to break it down a little more. Now let me tell you why I do that. When you break it down like this, you're gonna have an even distribution of the flavor. And I'm a big proponent of every single bite being delicious. So I wanna cut it down uniformly so that when I'm finished with my dish, everything is one flavor. So you see how easy it is to cut? You can do it this way. Or as I said, you can put it in a food processor, but watch it, because if you do it in a food processor, it'll get super fine, and then you're gonna have to cook it even longer to kind of dry it out. Otherwise, it'll be a kind of a wet kind of mess. So you don't wanna chop it up too fine.
So you don't want to turn it into a paste,
No.
because you want it to have some texture to it, right?
You want it to have some texture, exactly. Unless you're, trying to make a filling for like an empanada, which you could absolutely do with this. Jackfruit can be used any way that you would use, any kind of meat, you can use it that way. So we've got this chopped up now. All right, just a few more.
And just so you know, Jerry Lynn is watching.
Hi, Jerry Lynn.
And Karen Bartley DeBrango.
Yes. Karen is one of my friends now down in Tampa who's doing amazing things in the field of gluten-free food. And so we're going to be doing some projects together down there, and Jerry Lynn is a friend from high school. Okay, so we've got the jackfruit all chopped up now. So to this hot pan, we're going to add a little bit of olive oil. And I've had this warming up, so it's nice and hot.
I love how big that pan is.
Isn't it great? I got it from Restaurant Depot. To this, we're going to add half of some onions that were just like sliced. We're going to move that around. Okay, then we're going to add a little bit of garlic. I've actually used, those of you who are familiar, I used a Pean to do my garlic. You mash the garlic this way. I like it because it releases the flavor in the oils without all that burn that garlic typically has. So I use that. So I'm putting about 3 cloves of garlic in here, and I love garlic and onions. I believe that when you cook, you should build layers of flavor. And in doing so, there's less of a need for a lot of salt and things like that. You can just do a finishing kind of dusting of salt, and it brings all the flavors together instead of salt being the foundation of your dish. Okay, so we've got our garlic and our onion in there, and to that, we're going to add our jackfruit. And it's just that simple. So we're going to let this cook through a little bit.
And I guess since your pan has such a nice big surface area, you can kind of brown it a little.
Yes, and it's going to cook evenly and it's going to brown evenly. And, you know, I think a lot of people, one of the challenges with eating healthy is we've gotten so stuck on convenience that we sacrifice our health for convenience. But what this dish shows you is that it really doesn't take a lot of time. It doesn't take a lot of time, and you can fix a healthy dish that is delicious and, you know, it can be done quickly for your family. Now, I'm preparing these for a taco, but this could just as easily go with some brown rice and a slice of avocado, quinoa. There are many ways that you could put this on a baked potato if you wanted to. You could kind of do like a sweet savory thing and put it on a baked sweet potato or a sweet potato mash. There's a lot of things you could do with this.
Well, I like that idea, sweet potato.
Think outside the box, you know? It doesn't have to be how you traditionally, you could even have this for breakfast in place of your corned beef hash. You could have jackfruit hash, you know? So there's a lot of things you can do. So we were also talking earlier about all of us doing the sheltering in place and social distancing and things, and how it's affecting our lifestyles. And I was just mentioning the health disparities that people of the African diaspora are facing. And again, diabetes and things like that are making COVID much more fatal in our communities. So it really is a matter of life and death. What you eat is really a matter of life and death. The beautiful thing about it is you can change things around tomorrow or this afternoon, you know? There are many people that I know, and I'm sure you know as well, Rachel, that have been able to turn around their diabetes just by what they're eating. So it's not, you know, it's not a pie in the sky theory. It's real. You can really change your body by what you choose to feed it. Okay, so we've got this cooked up pretty well. So to this, we're gonna add some 5-spice. 5-spice is a combination of like cloves and cinnamon, and it's got all these beautiful fragrant notes to it. And we're gonna take, this is probably a teaspoon or 2 teaspoons. I tend to be a little heavy. I like food that's really flavorful, so you may not want as much, but that's about the amount that I use. And you see I sprinkled it over the top. And now I'm just gonna incorporate it, and this smells divine.
Wow, I have to say I've never really known what to do with 5-spice. So I'm so excited now to know something to do with that.
Oh, I love 5-spice. It's just like a great marriage of sweet and savory spices. It's also great to use, like if you want to do a quick fried rice or fried cauliflower, a pinch of 5-spice is delicious in that as well. Okay, so we've got that through here. And so here comes, like, I've often joked if I had a restaurant, I would just call it cashews and coconut, because I love cashews and I love coconut milk. I think it just is like the perfect creaminess that just brings so many things together. So you can either use full-fat coconut milk or low-fat coconut milk. This is a full-fat, and this is probably about a 1/4 cup here. All right, and you notice I haven't added any salt yet. I'm just building flavors with natural ingredients at this point. You know, salt is something that all people have to watch out for, but especially people of the African diaspora. So I really try to limit my use of salt.
Do you have a particular kind of salt that you like?
I use just basically Himalayan salt. There was a salt that I got turned on to at the National Procuring, but I haven't been able to find it.
Was it the SIC salt?
The SIC salt,
Yeah,
correct.
that's hard to find now.
And then I do have a secret ingredient that I use, and it's a mushroom salt. And this is something you can find at most like Asian markets. It's a salt that is made from like dehydrated and ground either shiitake mushrooms or oyster mushrooms. And there is salt added to it, but it gives that umami flavor that, you know, chefs love to talk about. It gives that. So I use just a pinch of that. So now we've got the coconut milk in there. And the last thing that I'm going to add to this is a little bit of maple syrup. Now, you can use agave if you want to, but maple gives it just the right flavor. Now, if you're someone who has concerns about sugar, here is something that I found at Whole Foods that I love. It's made by Lacanto. It's maple flavored syrup. It's made with monk fruit.
Oh, wow.
And it is a great substitution. Yeah. So if if you're got some issues with your glycemic index, this is a great one.
So that's not going to spike the blood sugar as much as maple syrup or honey?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. So it is 7 carbs, but the dietary fiber is 6 carbs. So it's just 1 net carb, which is great. So you can use this, but today I'm using this, and we're going to use probably like about 2 tablespoons. And now, mind you, this is not 1 serving. We're going to do a few tacos off of this. So now this is all coming together.
So good. So you know the jackfruit that you see once in a while in the grocery store that's like the size of 4 footballs?
They're massive,
combined?
yeah.
Have you ever cut one of those up to use?
I have not broken one of those down because that, I mean, you know what,
So
you probably
much.
get stuck that for a few months. Yeah.
Maybe you
Not
could,
for those.
yeah, you'd need to maybe have 100 people to feed to make that worth it. By the way,
Right,
have
right.
you noticed what my friend here?
I have.
Do you recognize it?
I haven't seen, I've forgotten about that actually. So here we go. And if you take a look at that, that looks like maybe chicken, like chopped chicken or something like
It
that.
does.
So the final thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little bit of salt. And one of the things that I will say to you is that when you switch over to plant-based eating, you will find that it is quite easy to retrain your palate. And you'll notice that you won't be craving things that were as salty or as sweet as they used to be. And this is just, you know, when you're introduced to pure, clean flavors, it's a lot easier to do that. All right, so our jackfruit is done, and we're gonna now assemble our taco. And today I'm using coconut wraps for my taco.
Oh, there's a good idea.
Yeah. So we've got our coconut wrap, and to that, I'm gonna add just a little bit of this. Actually, let me use.
Can you bring me that little white bowl that I had out that has the ridges on the side?
A little bit of that. And to this, I have some homemade carrot and daikon, pickled carrot and daikon. And daikon is really good for your digestive system. So we've got this. I make like a big batch of this like 3 or 4 times a year and just keep it.
Is that pickled or what?
It is. I did a little bit of rice vinegar and a little bit of rice vinegar and I think a little bit of mirin.
That sounds amazing.
So that's going to go, and it's bringing our flavors together, right? Because you've got like that Asian influence.
Carrot and daikon.
Oops, let me turn this off. And to that, I love cilantro. My best friend hates cilantro, but I think cilantro is delicious, and it's beautiful. So you can either add cilantro to this, or you can add, chopped scallions. But there you have it. That is our jackfruit taco.
Wow.
And it's hydrated raw coconut wrap.
Wow. I'm putting that on our grocery list for the next 2-week shopping trip.
Should I put it
And you know
back
what?
before she sends it?
Jackfruit.
Yeah.
I would encourage people, well, it's kind of difficult now to do it, but I'm sure Amazon carries it. I would encourage you to buy this brand from like Asian markets and things like that, because this is probably like $1.79 at an Asian market. If you go to Trader Joe's, love Trader Joe's, but if you go to Trader Joe's and buy the same exact thing, it's like $3.99.
Wow.
You can get it for a much better price if you go to, you know, like a smaller market, smaller like Asian or international market. So this is my dish.
We just put up a little,
inspired jackfruit taco.
and we just put up a little picture of one that you made at home next to it, that you made a different day.
Yes, that is with, actually, those were with fufu tacos, fufu tortillas, and I was inspired to make those by Allison.
Oh yeah.
Allison was your guest last week because I used to work with her, and she was putting together this taco, and I said, that sounds like something I grew up eating. And I'm like, you know, fufu, it's cassava or plantain or yam, and it was the same, very similar. So I make a taco tortilla from that.
Yeah, she inspired me just last week to try making the cassava tortillas, and they're so easy. I couldn't believe it. I thought they were going to kind of be a sticky mess and fall apart, but they're very pliable, so they're easier to make than corn tortillas.
They have the texture of them is so comforting when you taste them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, thank you so much. Can you tell us just a little bit about what we might see coming? Are you working on videos or anything?
I am. I'm jumping out there. I have been so like nervous about looking silly on camera or whatever, but I realized that I have a gift, and it's a gift of health, of teaching people really how to eat healthier. And if there was ever a time when people need not only that, but things to keep them busy, this is the time. So my niece is here with me, and I have commandeered her. And she's going to be my director, producer, and we're going to be putting these out. I would say once or twice a week is my goal, to share a recipe, an easy recipe, things that you can really make from like if you're shopping in your pantry. Because I don't want to encourage people to be out and about, but just think of creative ways, which you already have in your pantry, to make a delicious meal.
Yeah, and there's always ways that you can substitute ingredients if you don't have everything that's in a recipe.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And that recipe with the carrot tops, is that a macrobiotic recipe?
It is. I mean, I learned how to make it with scallions, you know, with the green onions, but then somebody must have mentioned it to me many years ago, but I never tried it until maybe a year or two ago, and now I'm kind of addicted to it. It tastes so delicious. I don't like carrot tops any other way. Like, I've heard of making carrot top pesto. I did not like that.
I've never tasted carrot tops.
But they're very bitter and grassy, but when they're cooked with sesame oil and miso, they just turn into the most delicious thing.
Well, you know what, that's a great tip, and maybe I will play around with that, because when I buy carrots like that, I chop off the top, and then I never even think about incorporating that, and it's a green, so it's got to be nutritious.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to take them out right now so everybody can see. Maybe you can see too, Cynthia. So they turn very dark because of the miso.
Mm-hmm.
But can you see the overhead?
Yep.
So it's basically like a miso spread that is fortified with the carrot tops, but they're cooked to where they're nice and soft, so you won't.
So how do you serve it? How is it?
So the way we served it when we made it about 2 weeks ago is we had made a fried rice that was just very delicately seasoned. It wasn't overly salty like you get at the restaurants. And then we served this, just put a little on top and mixed it in. So it's just served as a little condiment with the fried rice.
Okay.
And if you have like a bowl where you have brown rice and veggies and maybe some beans or mushrooms, then you could serve this at, like, instead of a dressing, you could put that on the brown rice.
I'm definitely going to try that. That sounds really interesting. Really interesting.
Well, it's been amazing having you on today. You've really inspired me to try cooking with jackfruit. I have to say I've never cooked with it. It's an ingredient that I think I've just been intimidated to try. And now I feel like I can do this.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And so I'm really excited to have a new tool in my toolbox. And I'm also just excited to have you be part of our community here. And I wish you so much luck with your move to Florida.
Thank you.
And we'll be watching each other online, I guess.
Yes, and I would love to come back on another time. So let me know, and I'll be happy to come on again.
Okay,
And when I get mine rolling, I'll have you on as well.
sounds great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you, everybody, for having lunch with us today. You'll have to let us know if you're making something at home today, so you can give us some ideas. And what do you want?
About the chicken.
Oh, yeah. So Cynthia and her husband sent this to us for our wedding gift, and I still remember getting the package in the mail. They couldn't make it to our wedding. I think they were living in Los Angeles there and couldn't come. And we got this big box delivered by UPS, and we opened it up, and I was like, oh my gosh, we have a new pet. And I think maybe you're supposed to put eggs in here, like if you have fresh eggs, or you can put anything you want in here, but he's kind of like our mascot in the kitchen, so. Thank you so much, Cynthia. Thank you, Leanne, and thank you everybody for being here today. Thank you, Izzy, for helping me make the Carrot Top Miso.
Yeah, while you were doing that, I made like peanut butter whipped cream. And then I put it some frozen bananas.
Ooh, that sounds really good. So Izzy was having her own cooking show in the back. Well, it's great being with you all today. It really cheers us up to be able to spend time with you. And we'll be back next week. And we're trying to figure out a time when we could do a happy hour kind of evening show. So we'll be back at some point midweek or mid-time between Wednesday and Wednesday with another offering. So we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Is it done?